Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. This is episode 213. I am your host, Keith Andrew, along here with Josa Adams, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
You're very welcome.
Now, for people who want to know what uncensored is my way of showing people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy to reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself, trying to catch my breath, trying to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there that are dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. But you should never give up, and you should prove to people you can still mount to something no matter what. With that being said, half hour, 45 minutes every time. And started off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, my name is Joshua Adams. I'm CEO and founder of Cosplayer Nation. We started this documentary in 2010. We filmed all across the United States, practically from Maine to Seattle to Hawaii to Puerto Rico. We've been filming for the past almost 6 years. But we finished the documentary in 3.5, almost 3 years, nearly 3 years. And we've been showing the full version of it on at conventions as well as film festivals. We've been getting good reviews. We've won 3 awards so far. And we're wanting to actually show cosplay in a very neutral light. The documentary is very neutral, of course. It took us a long time to do it that way. Besides the fact that actually neutrality was our best bet, we show the good, the positive, the negative, and everything in between, as well as the history of cosplay. And we're still learning every day about a little bit more and more about the history of cosplay. It started back in the 30s, and it's been growing ever since throughout the years. Actually, late 30s, early 40s.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, the first question I was going to ask you is, what influenced you to get into this line of work, and how long have you been into this work?
Well, I started almost about 8 years ago doing an online radio show on cyberstationusa.com. As after that, passing of my mother passed away of pancreatic cancer. So to show that, to at least not be a negative towards my passing of my mother, I decided to interview my partner, Mr. Oakley, who is not on this radio program at the moment. Interview him on my show in November of that year, 2010, because my mother had passed away in April of that year. I asked him over a bowl of clam chowder if he would love to do a documentary. So we did a documentary all about cosplaying. I've seen Ook's work. He did a mockumentary called Transcended and up to Transcended 4. He's a very skilled, hardworking, dedicated man, and he loves what he does and is very passionate into, cosplaying and that sort of stuff. I'm the person that's on the outside looking in, which in this case, when you're the outsider, but you have a fascination when you look at the way these people make their costumes and that sort of stuff. My father's an artist, so I learned art from my father, and my mother was a very outgoing woman, took me to a lot of different places, so I was very outgoing. So I wanted to see a lot about cosplaying and that sort of stuff, and the artwork that pretty much was being made and constructed. So cosplaying itself is actually art. And, well, making a documentary is art. and that sort of stuff. And it's a very fascinating subject, and I still wanted to make a documentary. So he was a very skilled, hardworking, dedicated man to his craft and also to his movies and that sort of stuff. And like I said, over a bowl of clam chowder, Cosplayer Nation was born. We started filming December 10th of that year, and we pretty much almost never stopped filming. We still film from time to time, but mostly when we ask cosplayers, we ask them questions that pretty much are not they're the normal questions you'd ask a person. If you're a reporter or that sort of stuff, what your costume's all about, how did you make your costume, did you buy it, that general things. Because one thing, you want a person to at least answer truthfully, because that's the best part about doing something like this. If they don't answer truthfully, then, that takes the thrill out of the question, per se. And we've had great reviews from all the cosplayers. That have seen the documentary. Wow, I didn't know it went that far back, or wow, I didn't know this, or that sort of stuff. So we've more basically put the education into this documentary, as well as the fun, positive sides. But, it takes a long time to actually make a documentary like this, because when you're dealing with neutrality and education, it takes a lot longer, a lot more dedication. I'm not saying that actually cosplayers don't have the dedication. I'm saying that, my partner and I, from time to time, would be almost up 24 hours a day, including my partner. He would be editing nonstop. I had to tell him, enough's enough. This is great. That's it. Because he'd still keep on editing it. And, that's how much dedication it is. And even costumes. That's how much dedication people do to make their craft and build these costumes that are magnificent from time to magnificent. So, that's pretty much all.
All right, now a couple questions I want to ask you. The first one is, you mentioned art. What I'm doing, do you consider this, what would you classify this as? A documentary? Would you say a biography? Would you consider this art? Well, if you're on the outside looking at what I'm doing, and somebody said, if you can describe Keith Andrew in his talk show, what would you describe me as?
Well, understandably, this I would consider it a piece of art, or in fact, a documentary per se, because you're not just talking about just one thing. You might be talking about one thing during one show, but you're not talking about, one exact thing throughout every other show. You're trying to talk to other people to get an insight into many different forms of art and artistry, and as well as educational-wise. Basically, that's what a talk show is generally. If you don't consider the fact that Jerry Springer is somewhat of a talk show, but that's not the talk show that educate people. That just is a show to, in a way, a mockumentary per se. I'm saying, Jerry Springer's show is pretty much a mockumentary. But mostly, in a way, you're just in general thinking of, you're thinking of art, you're doing documentary, you're doing education, you're talking about things that other people might not know about or want to delve deeper into thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my second question is, before I get to the second question, I'll say, first off, I really like your Daniel Bryan look.
Thank you.
And was he an inspiration? Is that why you have your hair and beard like that? And you should buy a shirt that says "Respect the Beard."
Actually, this is just me. I sometimes I try to dress up as the dude, and I just felt like, letting, dude abide, letting it hang out.
Do you sometimes walk around us going like the Daniel Bryan and yes? That would be pretty funny, I'm just saying. But the next question I was going to ask you was, how do you become a cosplayer, number one? And are you good friends with anyone who are cosplayers?
Well, my business partner, Klee, he's a cosplayer himself. He dedicates his craft. He does a lot of different. Well, he loves Gantz, but he does a lot of different versions of the Gantz costume. He's trying to build a better version of that Gantz costume that has been portrayed. Or he loves dressing up as Durkin from Fight Club. If you've seen photographs of him. Miles Durkin, Fight Club, he's got the shirt and that sort of stuff. And some other times he'll dress up as Frank Underwood from The House of Cards. Me, I'm a casual cosplayer. And as for other friends, there's so many I really can't think of at the top of my head. But most of them that actually have done the documentary and other things like that, they're very good working, hard, skilled individuals. Yes, do have a lot of friends. And, besides the fact that I can't, besides Larry Furry, Duke Chen, and other people, Larry's more of the conventioneer, but still, he loves what he does, he's very passionate about what he does, and that sort of stuff. And mostly, if I were to make a costume, it would take a lot of time and a lot of dedication. Sometimes some people get to the point where if it's a period costume, they will literally try to find the exact buttons or that sort of stuff. And they will take the time and effort to either exactly duplicate or try to find an exact match to what they have to do. Look at the Gundams. Look at the gentleman who did the Transformer, the Bumblebee Transformer. We interviewed him a couple of years ago at Kineticon. That Bumblebee transformed into a Corvette. So, there's a lot of dedication, a lot of time, and a lot of effort these people put into making these costumes. And it's just a fascinating subject that needed a documentary to show that actually that these people exist, that they're not the quote-unquote cellar dwellers or that sort of stuff. They are very passionate. They take their skills to the next level. I've seen a lot of different costumes, and jokingly aside, I've seen a person put on a cardboard box and write Gundam on it. And we were up in Canada when that happened. What's the Dunkin' Donut version of Tim Thornton's? And they took boxes from Tim Thornton's and wrote Gundams. And as a joke, I said, "Hey, you're Tim Thornton Gundams per se." And it's a fascinating subject, and a lot of people take their time, and a lot of people take the effort. And even if they buy their costumes, they will stay they will stay exactly in character for long periods of time. And it takes a long time and a lot of hard effort. And it doesn't really matter if you buy it or make it, as long as you're having fun.
No, absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you when we go off to here. But the other question I was going to ask you is, how did you become the CEO of your own company? And I know we mentioned in the beginning how did you create it, but also being your own CEO, how do you think your company has grown? Do you think it's continued growing? And where do you see it going?
Well, I can't really talk about some of the projects we're doing per se, but as the CEO, it was just a mantle. actually. It's a title, per se. I mean, my partner, Ook, is president. So basically, since I thought of it, me and him just said, hey, Josh, why don't you become the CEO? And that's all it is. It's per se a mantle. It's just a title. I mean, my partner does a lot of work, and he's dedicated to what he does on the Facebook or the YouTube channel or the MySpace or the Twitter or the Tumblr. And I try to take care of the business side of things. Trying to get sponsors, trying to get people to come, trying to get people to look at things that we're trying to do and that sort of stuff, and trying to talk business, trying to talk shop, per se. But all aside, we started off as a two-man team. We have several people that help us out all across the country, even across the globe, and that sort of stuff. And it's not just one person; it's everybody. It's several people. That's how many people it is. It's not one individual. It's everybody. Everybody that works or helps out with Cosplayer Nation. Basically, they put on, the same shoes and the same clothes, the same pants, and not this. I'm saying, but I just mean, they're putting one pants at a time, and when push comes to shove, and I have to either defend or I have to step up, I step up to the challenge. And that's practically it. Cosplayer itself is not, like I said, not just two people. It is an entity. It's a being itself. It generates and creates its own, what would you call it? Panache. And I'm very happy with all the people that dedicate their time and effort and that sort of stuff. And we're going to keep on growing and growing and growing until either the sun explodes or whatever. But it's just, that's how it is. And, it's not just one person, it's several people. And I'm proud to have the most exciting man in the world, Aaron, Duke, and several of the people that are our administrators, including Ook himself, who are administrators on our Facebook group page. I mean, our Facebook group page, even though it is considered a closed group, it is one of the most flourishing, neutral groups, very encouraging and that sort of stuff. And our YouTube page, even though we haven't updated it in a while, it still keeps on growing. And because people look at our YouTubes and videos and that sort of stuff, and they get inspired to do their own version of the documentary or what you're even doing. So that encourages more growth. And like I said, it's an entity. It's not just two people. It's its own being, per se.
All right. Now, I'm going to wrap up my part. And before I pass the show over to you, last two important subjects for you. Now I'll pass the show over to you, wrapping up on my side. Is number one, do you have your own event? Do you work with Comic-Con, or do you strictly have your own event, number one? And number two, do you let people have their own exhibits, and do you do Q&As?
Well, we've done panels at conventions, Anime Next, Anime North, Boston Comic-Con, Tokyo and Tulsa. My partner goes through some of these conventions. We do a lot of panels. We show the documentary. We try to help support cosplayers and let it flourish for where it needs to be flourishing. As for events, yes, we do have some events, and we do show our events on our like page. I can't talk a little bit about some of the events that might come up in the future because basically we want to keep it on the down low at the moment. But we will be doing a big event pretty soon. And hopefully that will flourish and grow because we would love to see, cosplaying in a light that it is. It's growing every single day. More and more people are considering, I can't believe that was cosplay. I can't believe this is cosplay. I can't believe that's cosplay. Cosplay is just a word, per se. And the funny thing is, I'm hoping I'm not saying his name wrong, Nobuyuki Takahashi, who coined the phrase cosplay back in the 80s because he couldn't write costume play. So that's where the word took place in Japan, came over to the States, but practically costume play has been going on since the dawn of man. You gotta realize that.
Yeah, we'll go Halloween.
Halloween is an American concept, actually. Dressing up in costume is an American concept. Done in the early maybe the late 19th century. Because basically the Puritans had All Hallows Eve, and the kids like to, be rambunctious and do crazy things. But, one woman in the Midwest got really fed up because basically the kids were destroying her property, ripping her fence up. So she decided to create a party and made costumes and that sort of stuff. And that's where the thing of what we considered Halloween in the States. I mean, there's many different versions of Halloween. If you think about it, the Day of the Dead, Mexico, where they dress up as, skeletons and things like that. And, the Renaissance. We even talk about the no-face plays and a lot of things that happened during the Victorian time as well. The fancy dress parties, as they're called in England. But in a way, that's cosplay. And a lot of people don't realize it. And when you tell them, well, what is cosplay? Do you dress for Halloween? Yeah. Well, that's cosplaying. That's dressing up. That's doing something. Oh, I didn't know that. So it's not just the fact that people don't understand it. It's just that they've never even sometimes ever heard the word.
Right.
And that's all it is. It's just a word.
All right. Like I said, I do have some ideas for you after the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the last 16 minutes left, I'm going to pass it back to you. You can ask me anything you want and gloves off. This is your time after all, whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, of course. Now, what disability do you have?
Only if I had $1 for every single person that said that to me.
Trust me, I'm severe dyslexic. So, I understand. I have friends who have Asperger's. I know people that have Asperger's. I grew up in the special needs program here in Massachusetts, which was one of the best special needs programs back in the 80s or late 80s, early 90s. So I know some things like that.
No, absolutely. I'm like you, only I learn at a slower pace. I was labeled as mentally challenged, mentally disturbed, retarded. I can read, but I can't
Comprehend what you're trying to actually read on the page?
I can read a little bit, but if you tell me to read a book, it's too much for me.
I understand.
Yeah, I can't spell if I can. I can't spell if my life depended on it. I can say words, but if you say, "Okay, can you spell this?" I'm gonna be like, "Duh, no."
Yes, I understand. You have a, well, you be on the artistic level, actually. You be on the artistic scale, per se. And trust me, I grew up with the Special Needs Basketball Association, the Special Needs Baseball Association. I was on, jokingly aside, this is a true story. I was on a special needs parent magazine back in the late 80s, early 90s, and that sort of stuff. And a lot of people, think that actually they look at the people who are special needs or mentally retarded as the people they see on the television or that sort of stuff. And they don't comprehend the fact that actually if you look deeper or have had a person who grew up with special needs or that sort of stuff, that they have a different view of the world. Most people, think the world is black and white, or gray. But when you look at the spectrum per se of disabled and disabilities, I knew people that were older than me that were severe autistic, and all they could do was scream because they could not comprehend or could not emotionally say what they wanted to say. And, a lot of people just, now they're getting a better understanding of it because they're seeing more and more people with disability out there that are growing, that are trying to improve the world per se. And it's it's hard because basically you have the mentality of here I am, this is what I can do, this is who I am, and some people can only see the voice or cannot understand because basically they just look at they look at you, but they don't look at the true you, this you inside. And some people, when they find that out, they find they find people like us very smart individuals. And I mean, it doesn't take that much to read a book, but when the book is so complex that not even a person in the CIA could understand the coding, because that's what a person who has disability has. It's sometimes physical, other times mental, but as a person like me who's dyslexic, I had to improve myself. I was either, started reading comic books. That got me, into video games. I started playing video games. It got me into reading strategy guides, which got me into reading books. And some people could not believe that actually I could read at a very high level of that I was reading when I was in high school. I was reading Schindler's List and understood what I was reading. The only thing I could not understand was German. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to do. And I mean, spelling for me has always been hard. Like you, spelling is very hard. I know the B's, the D's, and that sort of stuff. And, looking at the world sometimes upside down and topsy-turvy. When a person tells you to take a left, you take a right. When a person says, don't touch that, you go, what? What did I do? What, you want me to touch it? Okay, touch it. And then, I told you not to touch it. Why did you touch it?
Or don't do something and you do it.
Yeah, and it's hard for some people to realize that when you're telling a person not to do something, and it might be, awkward, to a person who has that sort of stuff. And I mean, I've seen people with Asperger's, go out, have fun, and that sort of stuff. And it's great for people to, who are special needs, including yourself, doing this, and that sort of stuff. And it's great to see. It's great to see people trying to prove themselves and trying to challenge themselves.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, do you have any funny stories you like to share? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stage 32?
I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stage 32, Tumblr. When we started out, I practically almost got everything I could find for Cosplayer Nation. We have a MySpace, a Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Photo Bucket, blog, you name it under the sun. We're going to be working on the website pretty soon, so that sort of stuff. But, we don't have the website up yet, but we're going to be working on that. And if you guys want to check out all of the footage that we have, just type in Cosplayer Nation onto Google, and the first almost 5 or 6 things that pop up, that's us. Except for Cosplay Nation, but that's a different website. But still, anything that has cosplayer in it, that's us. And check out our YouTube page. Like us on Facebook. Check out our like page. If you can get into our Facebook group page, get into our Facebook group page. I mean, we're trying to do, Google. We're trying to do, what do you call them?
Google Hangout.
Yeah, we're doing a Google Hangout. We're educating people on how to make, how to style wigs or how to build costumes. So we're doing stuff like that for Cosplayer Nation. And, it's great to see because basically the people that see it, they get inspired. And I want to see many people get inspired to do something. That's the best part about it, is that people are so innovative that you can not imagine some of the stuff that I've seen, people use in most innovative ways. And that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, wrapping up the interview segment, I just want to say it's a real honor and privilege to have you on the show, and I'm looking forward to building a friendship with you as well.
Now, one other question. Where are you located?
Oh, New York.
New York. Upstate or?
Ever been to Woodbury Commons?
Yeah, that's towards the Lake George area, if I remember correctly, right?
Let's see. Woodbury Commons from Lake George, that's about maybe, let's see, from here to Albany, it's about an hour. And from Albany, so yeah, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
So you're in the middle?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's one question that, Chowder, New York or New England? Come on. Have you ever had clam chowder?
Yes.
New York style or New England style?
I actually haven't had it in a while, but if I remember correctly, I think it was New England.
Yeah. I meant, what's your favorite? Because New York style, I don't understand why people put tomatoes into a chowder.
Yeah, I didn't have that one.
Yeah, that's New York style clam chowder. And I know a lot of you upstate New Yorkers, baseball is not the key sport per se. You guys sometimes don't like the Yankees as much as we New Englanders do. But you take your hockey, like It's a religion.
Right.
Yep. And your football, but not much. But your hockey, I know. Trust me, you're one of the six, and we're one of the six as well, original six as well. Yeah. And I got a little bit more information about you, of course. Are you going to New York Comic Con?
Yes, I am.
I'm going to try to get there, but it's going to be hard.
We should come. We should hang out.
Yeah. I'm seeing what I can do. I mean, I got some things tied up that I have to get done before I even think about New York Comic Con. And I know New York Comic Con is actually now the largest comic book convention in the United States.
Well, second to San Diego.
No, you guys beat San Diego.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. Attendees.
News to me.
Oh, I'm more in the geek world than you think. Because San Diego is now second compared to New York.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so you can put that feather in the hat. We're number one.
But wrapping up the interview segment, I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
You're very welcome.